Well, I'm curious, which means open, so anything could be, but I do like the idea of a cleansing of the space, the cleansing of the energies that could be restless, and perhaps bringing back any messages that you're picking up that maybe it would like for me to heed. So 1888 is when it was built. General Store was also a hotel. I've been here since May 2018, so we're coming in on 2 years now. And it's actually a building that I've known since I was about 8 years old and have always wanted to be in this building. I remember coming to see fall colors as a child with my parents and coming by, and just such a gorgeous space, and Belfountain itself. And yeah, and then in May an opportunity came to come and be a part of the building, and here I am. Been a general store for so long. I have people who come in all the time that are willing to tell the stories of when they were children or experiences they've had or why they came here. And I remember a fellow coming in and saying that he is very sensitive to spirits and felt like, do not go behind that garage. Nothing good is behind that garage. We've had an experience here while we were working, we were winding down a really busy day, and in ice cream and a glass dome that had cakes under it just shattered. No one's around it, nothing's happening, just shattered. And that's happened actually 3 times, 3 different incidences. In the upstairs, there's the impression. Somehow, sometimes you see like a cat, move through the room, or a small person. And it is a building that has the history of being one of Ontario's top haunted buildings. And I know that there's a story associated with a child and this building.
So we are at the old Belfountain General Store today here in Belfountain. It's been around since 1888 or so. It's a pretty big building. It's pretty interesting as soon as we walk in.
Oh yeah, I definitely feel a lot of energy going on, a lot of layers.
A lot of layers, lots of history in this place. So we are going to be exploring this main beautiful area today. Also, there's an upstairs living area we're going to visit and a dark basement. So let's go.
All right.
Okay, I feel like that main area, really beautifully set up, lots of energy coming in and out. Nothing really gets my attention there.
No.
What
Same
about you?
thing.
Same
Nothing
thing?
really stood out. Good flow.
Yeah.
Very beautiful.
I feel a little bit different in this space, actually. How do I describe that? The first sense that I get when I'm here is I feel like there's the energy of a male spirit here, not like a family or friend of anyone who's working here. I feel like this is someone that would have spent an awful lot of time in this space. And I feel like he really loved his work here, loved what he did here. But I feel like how do I I feel like there might be a little bit of like a territorial energy, not toward like the people that occupy this space necessarily, just sort of like in general. He's quite discerning about who he'd like in and who he wouldn't like here. Do you have any feeling in this area, Dawn?
I get a little bit more of a heaviness versus versus what we had in the main area. And there is that disconnect, and I'm just getting a lot of lights and twinkle and
Okay.
little specks.
Okay.
Not too sure if that's the gentleman that you're talking about,
Okay.
or if it's something else, but I'm definitely just picking up on a lot of energy going on here.
Okay, how do you like this? He's actually laughing at us right
Oh,
now.
really?
Not in a nice way. It's sort of like this, laughing at what we're talking about. So that's okay. And I just feel like he's like behind this counter.
Yeah, okay.
Um,
So maybe that's him that I'm picking up on.
I also am being drawn to that I don't think it's photographed. I'm not quite sure exactly what to call that. It's sort of like stitched. That actual piece right there. It's got a very weird vibe to it. Not the collage stuff on top of it, but the piece behind it. I don't like the energy of it. I'd want to maybe attempt to clear that rather than keep it in the space. It's just got a, if you think about it like, I don't know, looking at some kind of a measurement bar where we have just a sort of straight, ordinary line of energy. That one's a little bit odd. It's a little bit bizarre. And I don't really like the feeling of it in this space. So it's interesting because we know that in the last little bit, there's been a possibility of a change of hands happening in this place. And when that was occurring, some strange things, unexpected things started happening in the building. And I think it's kind of interesting that this has occurred in kind of like his space, because I also feel like the current owners or occupants of this space, he's quite good with, but somebody else he would not be quite so good with. So I do feel like there's a hand being played here to maybe throw a little bit of a wrench in the mix of a change of hands happening. That's the sense that I'm getting.
Like this is his opinion.
This is my opinion. Yeah, exactly. That's his opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like people have had, and I don't know if any of the current people have had experiences with this male energy, but I do feel like there have been people over the years that he's made contact with, and they were very well aware of his presence. So maybe we'll ask about that. Maybe we'll ask Lisa if she's heard anything about a man that people have been noticing or have noticed in this space. And I also feel like this is a safe place energetically for him to be, because it's much less of an in and out than over there, like year round. So it's sort of like, nobody bothers me over here. That's sort of the thing that he's saying to me. All right. Okay, moving on. Off to the basement?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's do it. My favorite. Okay. Oh.
Oh, I just feel like a little bit, a little bit stomach sick there.
I don't. I feel like I'm on something that is just vibrating
Okay.
constantly. Yeah, like I can feel it right through my mouth, my teeth.
Okay, I've got this wicked headache coming in on the left side of my head right now. Okay, I feel like there's a major like store up of energy here happening, like no flow through happening. But oddly enough, that freezer just gives me like, just like the worst feeling. The heebie-jeebies going through my veins right now. Not in a way that's, scary. It's just, I don't like it. I actually feel like this will be a first, okay? This will be a first, that inside a freezer will be like a location that very active energy goes to like find just like safe haven. I've never gone to a walk-in freezer and experienced that, but I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen there. Okay, let's see if we can access that.
The freezer doesn't work,
Okay.
just so you know.
That actually makes more sense to me, that it doesn't work. Are we able to open it? Okay, I'm so shaky right now. We need to do a good prep before I open that door. I need to just back up for a second that way. How are you feeling?
I am
Well, it's pretty intense.
very, very intense. So you're right, let's power up.
Okay, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Oh, it's making me sick.
Can you even push through that?
I'm not trying to push through. I'm just trying to block it from coming out right now. I want to keep that there, and I want to come back to this, but it's making me really lightheaded. I just want to try and push that down, just drain out. That was the spot over there, hey?
Oh, right there.
Right there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, I want to leave this open for just a little bit and we can come back and close it afterward.
That's a good idea.
Okay, moving on.
Oh. All right. That's heavy, heavy.
Yeah, so the feeling that that I get from the energy that was in that room, one, makes me nauseous. It just means it's on the lower scale of quality in terms of energy, something that feels, you might think positive, you might think negative. I don't usually use those words, but this will be on that sort of lower scale that makes you feel uncomfortable. It makes you feel a little bit queasy. For me, always like a cue will be I feel slightly nauseous for a moment. I feel like this was two things that we are encountering. One, I actually feel this was some type of a definitely like an intelligent energy, but I also feel like this, especially that corner, that wet corner we have over in the back, we just have like a lack of energy draining out of this place. It's like pooling, and I feel like there was intelligence to this energy here. If I were to describe it as an incarnate being at some point, it would be like a younger sort of maybe like adolescent male energy happening there that just feels like a little bit what's the word I want to find there? A little bit mischievous. And I didn't like it. It was a feeling that we don't need to have here anymore. And I feel like just coming out to play, coming back, coming out to play, coming back would be one of the things that this individual or this energy would be doing. And so for me, just clearing that energy out of the space, the way that ended up working was actually draining out through the ground. What was your experience with it, Dawn?
That was the only place I could really find it, like a portal to be able to
to go
move
down.
it.
Exactly, yeah. Just out into the earth, just to clear with, deal with, and then, off to where it needs to go in its next step of its journey. Okay, so this is the second story. Feels a whole lot different than downstairs.
Totally different. My goodness.
So far, anyway. We'll see. Okay.
Let's go check it out.
You can definitely feel the imprint of the old hotel here, hey?
Very much so, yeah. I'm shocked at how there was such a difference between that space and then
Yeah.
just walking through the door and the change in energy.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So it's all the old windows, it looks like, hey? Yeah, and they just still hold that old energy. That's definitely rich. It's rich in energy. I also feel like that, so when I look out this sort of half of the upstairs versus this half, this feels different than the front here. Let's start somewhere, I guess, hey? All right, maybe we'll just take a breeze through and then sort of stop wherever we need to. I feel like I don't have very much to report up here except for just imprint energy. What about you?
I feel that there's just a bit of a difference in the actual items that are here. I can feel that this is a very loved space.
Yeah.
But then I can still feel maybe it's the imprints of the experiences that people have had here in the past, the new versus the old. You know?
For sure. Yeah, I just got this, do you remember how cold we were downstairs? I just got this, very quick flash of, there must have been periods where people were freezing up here too, because I just got that really quick sense of being absolutely freezing up here. Yeah, I mean, we'll take a further walk around, but it doesn't feel like there's anything out of this world up here that we need to notice.
No, I just feel like every room we could possibly just have a different imprint, a different story.
Yeah.
Like there's a little bit of a difference in each space, but
Yeah, I
it's not, it's all,
Yeah, it's like ordinary home stuff.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I wonder if there was ever I wonder if there, how do I describe that? The sense that I get from that side to this side is almost like this might, and I have no idea, maybe we can check, maybe we can find some historical reference or something, but it almost feels like as an inn or like as a hotel, it feels like the rooms on this front side, if it was divided that way, it feels like this would be more of like an affluent space, like a little more affluence in terms of the people staying here versus on that side. That's just the sense that I got. That was that difference that was sort of like divided by that hallway. So maybe we can check that out.
I wonder about that, yeah, if these were, yeah.
Did you get any sense of that?
Well, I can definitely feel what you're saying. I was just, and now that you've said it, it definitely makes sense, because for me it was more the side is the lighter, the brighter, the bigger.
Yeah.
Than that side, and maybe that's how they arrange the rooms.
That may be.
Yeah.
That may be. Yeah, it almost feels like we'll stay here on this side because we are out of town and can do that. Whereas the other side sort of feels like we need a place to stay. That's sort of the narrative that I'm picking up on there. The thing that I'm also picking up on is just like the different people, even of like more recent times, who have lived here. Like the current owner's energy is all over this place, but I also have the sense of like, I think she had mentioned earlier, like a changing of hands, like a lot of changeover.
Yeah, quick turnover.
Yeah, a lot of turnover. It feels like she might be the only person in a long time that really loves this place. That's the sense that I get. I feel like prior ownership is like it's just a place.
An investment.
An investment,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. That's what it feels like. It feels like she brings a totally different energy. And I think that it's actually a good thing that the energy up here feels really disconnected from the energy downstairs, which is, I think, good, because downstairs They're dealing with all, strangers coming in and out, and people bring in their own material, their own baggage, their own energy, and you kind of like don't want to live in that constant mix of other people's stuff. So it feels like it's worked out energetically, that this feels disconnected from downstairs.
Definitely, I was rather impressed when we came up, and it was so different because it's almost like she's not bringing her work home with her.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, this is her escape.
This is her spot.
Mm-hmm.
Good. All right, so the owner was talking about someone mentioning to her, I don't know, some time ago, something about the shed back here and that it doesn't have the greatest feelings around it, something along those lines. So I thought we would just tune into it to see what we're getting. And I know for me, it feels like probably at some point in time, there might have been some gatherings in that place that maybe weren't necessarily on the up and up, that type of thing. Feels like quite some time ago, but because the space itself isn't really used, people don't come in and out of it, there's no light in it, it just sort of holds a bit of a just a lower feeling, which can happen in locations that don't see real light of day, don't have like positive energy being contributed to it. I do get the sense of that, and a little bit about sort of like the land around it. I think it's just an easy sort of fix to clear out the area if they wanted to use that building. That's sort of what's speaking to me. What about you, Dawn?
I definitely back with the layers, starting with the land. It definitely has a different feeling than even prior to that building, and possibly even this building. When it comes to the land, I'm getting stories of sacredness, but yet unsettled, prior to any settlement here. I'm not too sure what that means exactly, but possibly if there were transient people who would, move in a group setting, maybe even First Nations, settling here for a short period of time, and just, or possibly even prior to this building being built, if there was a church here or something very sacred. I could feel that type of holy energy, but also I think because this building is now here, it's a little bit of a mismatch. So I would love to balance that out and greet the two together. And then same with that building there. It definitely has a different feeling than this building a little later, and again, just a different layer of energy than this building, and then the earth itself. So I just find that there's a little bit of a clash, and that they just all need to be almost introduced and balanced.
Yeah, I think that's interesting too, because I do get the sense land-wise, more contemporary than historical, although I do have definitely those historical understandings from this land as well. But the more contemporary bit feels a little bit like this unsettledness, maybe, community-wise, but even sort of predating now. This, I think, I'm not for sure, but this might have been like a hub in terms of community, in terms of like location and intersection. Like people would come here to speak to each other, maybe to bring grievances about. It's just a layer of information that's available in the land here, but you can still feel it. It's still here. So I think a little bit of tending to the land to balance out some of those energies would be great, because it's great for most places actually. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Okay. Okay, first of all, this building is so beautiful. Every touch, every decoration is so lovely. It feels like a calling in of community, and your heart just resonates that, which you can feel all over this place. So it's so beautiful. I loved being here. A couple of interesting things. The basement was, I think, the most powerful experience of the day. We were glad to have visited down there, and it's really fascinating to learn afterward that you actually had phenomena happening down there that you couldn't explain. And I think that we might have been able to explain that today. And I feel like we're not going to have those types of occurrences down there anymore. But that little bit of a mischief energy was very real. We can feel that in a very real way.
Very much so, yes.
Yeah,
Very
it's totally
powerful.
palpable. The man that we had in the back area, he actually feels sort of like a steward of this place. I don't feel like any of the occurrences that you've had happen here related to, glass smashing or feeling a bit odd. I don't feel like he partakes in any of that. And so we've just sort of had him stay the way that he is. We could definitely have a revisit if we feel like it's something we want to help him with. But at this time, it feels like he's just sort of looking after this space in a way that's important to him, and we don't feel it really affects anyone that's here. The upstairs just felt really lovely, and so we did a little bit of work here and learned about the energy of the land and some of the dynamic that's happening there. And how that contributes to how we experience a place, what goes on in a place, what type of relationships happen in a space based on the energy of the land and what's happening here. So maybe you could just give us a little bit of your thoughts or your insight in terms of your experience here today.
Oh, I think it's fascinating that when we talk about layers, that we're actually at a land place too, and which is something I've wondered about as well, that this is a unique small community and has its own sort of energy and dissensions, and if this is something that could be healed from a land place, that everybody could kind of come together in a more cohesive whole, then that's a beautiful discovery. On top of that, thank you for removing that kid, making all that trouble. There's a lot of wet, a lot of towels and napkins and all that stuff to have to clean it up, and mysteries, and now we'll just start bringing that guy coffee in the morning, I guess. It's all good.